What's up, YouTube? Bluff City here with some breaking news. Out of Washington, D.C., the National Guard, two National Guard members actually involved in a shootout. Like, this, I found out about this just a few minutes ago, actually, and I tried to look it up here on YouTube, and then the news story is here, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So, I have not watched this yet, so I don't know all the details, but let me give you my thoughts as the video goes on. Make sure you give this video a like, share, and subscribe with everyone you know, because I promise you, you do not want to miss another video. So, let's go.
At least one of them was struck, and the White House is currently on lockdown. Joining us, MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delaney, and along with MS Now National Security and Intelligence analyst and former FBI supervisor Rob D'Amico. So, Ken, what exactly do we know?
Basically, just what you said, Katie. This shooting, I'm told, occurred near the White House in a place called Farragut Square in downtown D.C. We're seeing video on social media of police rushing to the scene. I checked in with the Secret Service because they protect the White House and was told that two uniformed National Guard members were involved in a shooting. At least one of them was struck. Their condition is not known. The nature of the incident was not known by this person. It's being handled by the D.C. police, not the Secret Service, because they've decided there's no nexus to the White House, no threat to the White House. So the circumstances of this incident are unclear. Remember, of course, that uniformed National Guard are regularly patrolling the streets of Washington, having been deployed there by President Trump. That's subject to a legal fight. Actually, 5 days ago, a judge ordered the Trump administration to halt that deployment. That's still being litigated. But again, so all we know is that two uniformed National Guard members involved in a shooting, one was struck. The condition of that person is unknown at this time.
Yeah, so the AP is reporting that two National Guard members were struck, the two that were involved. Again, that differs a little bit from our reporting. We'll see if that gets updated. Ken, you were saying that your sources have said there's no nexus. The FBI is saying no nexus. What does that mean?
The Secret Service, meaning there's no investigative, there's no angle for them to investigate this. They've already concluded there was no threat to the White House or the president. It's a shooting that occurred in D.C., and so it's being investigated and responded to by the D.C. police, not by the Secret Service. It remains to be seen. I also checked in with the FBI. It's unclear at this point whether they will get involved. But right now, the D.C. police is responding, Katie.
All right, so the president is not in Washington right now. He's not at the White House, even though the White House is on lockdown. He, is in Florida for the holiday break. J.D. Vance is, in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. In terms of how hard it is to investigate situations like this, Ken, who ends up taking the lead when you have a shooting? And Capitol Police might normally deal with this sort of thing, but you have a shooting so close to a place like the White House.
It's really, I mean, I'm not from DC, and I don't know how common it is to have shootings anywhere remotely close to the White House, but to me, it seems a little odd that it would happen around there. I mean, thankfully, it's no threat to the White House. I'm glad of that, but for it to happen pretty close to it is kind of odd to me.
Well, the agencies work together so much anyhow. So if there was, like, as Ken said, if there was any nexus to someone had been trying to get in the White House, or if it was a federal building, they'll decide that all the other crimes, DCs are originally going to, start investigating it. And then if it turns out a nexus to some type of federal thing where the FBI may have lead or Secret Service, but they do that all the time because those properties are on top of each other. They literally sit there, and there's so many federal agencies. But when the crimes happen, and the fact that it's National Guard, they're going to have to start looking into what are the rules of engagement. Did the National Guard members see a violent crime happen, and then they try to interdict with it, and then that's what led to the shooting or something? So the D.C. police will do that. The National Guard will be involved, obviously, because it's their personnel. And then the other federal agents will sit there and wait to see if there's something that brings it into their chain of investigations, if it was on a property, or if somehow it turns out that it was someone doing something against something protected by the Secret Service. So they do that all the time because they just lay on top of each other as it is.
All right, the White House has just issued a statement. Caroline Leavitt says the president is aware, he's been briefed. They're actively monitoring this tragic situation. Again, we don't know the status of the National Guard members. The AP is reporting that 2 National Guard members were shot. Let's also bring in MS Now law enforcement analyst and former U.S. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger. I'll get you on that question I just gave to Rob D'Amico, which is the complicated nature of policing in D.C., especially when you're close to the White House, but now especially when it involves a federal officer like a National Guard member.
Yeah, as you may know, the National Guard has been spending a lot of time at different metro stations, and Farragut, the Farragut area actually has a couple of metro stations there. So it would be very likely that you had National Guard folks at those subway stations, and so if something were to happen there, they would be right there on the scene. I know that I frequently take the metro in and around DC, and at almost every station downtown, when you come up out of the station, there are 2 or 3 or 4 National Guardsmen standing around that area. And when you get, the closer you get to the White House, the more agencies that you have, that whether it's the Federal Protection Service, Uniformed Secret Service, Metropolitan Police Department, you have the Metro Transit Police also have jurisdiction at all the metro stations. So you could have a half a dozen agencies in any given area, especially in the downtown area.
For those of us who don't live in D.C. and maybe are not familiar with the metro system there, why are National Guard members at all these stops?
That was just one of the places, I think, that when the president deployed the additional resources to Washington, D.C., I know that the National Guard checked in with Chief Smith from the Metropolitan Police Department, said, where do you need us? Where can we be of assistance? And just having a higher profile of folks in and around the metro stations was something that they thought would add value. The metro system in Washington, D.C. is like any other metro system in a subway system in any big city in this country. You have a lot of stops that there are some crime issues. You have a lot of stops that there are no crime issues. And downtown D.C. is generally pretty safe, especially on weekdays during the rush hour when there's a lot of people there. Not too many issues. But the downtown area is always a place where there's a lot of people. So if you have somebody who, or when something does happen, you've got a fair number of members of the public that could be in and around a shooting like that. It makes it all the more dangerous.
And I'm glad that this didn't escalate into something much worse, because it could have involved not just 2 National Guard members, but it could have, some standby people that were just minding their business could have got hit with a stray bullet, and that would have made everything much worse, in my personal opinion. And it wouldn't surprise me if once they found out more information of who was involved in this little shootout with the National Guard, right? It wouldn't surprise me if you had lefties or anyone who already hates Donald Trump to their core figure out a way to blame him for this. I wouldn't be shocked by that whatsoever, not at all. But I'm glad at least so far, for what we know, the at least says at least one is shot, and there's 2 of them that were involved in this whole situation. I'm glad neither one of them is deceased. I'm glad they're both still, at least according to this, no one has died from this whole situation. I'm glad of that. But seeing this, and it just makes me wonder: is this going to be a thing anywhere where the National Guard is deployed at? Or people are going to try to get tough with these guys and really try to get into a shootout with these guys? It's like, yo, don't even try it. These are trained military. These people are trained day in and day out for this. And you, as a civilian, you hate the president, you hate law and order so much, You know you know the city you live in is crime ridden and it's full of knuckleheads that just want to do dumb shit all day. That you really want to try these people. I'll tell you right now, if you're dumb enough to try these people, you deserve whatever you get coming to you. Bottom line, whatever they decide to do to you, I can't. I'm like, well, they tried it and they got exactly what they deserved. Man, I'm gonna leave the link to the rest of this because I don't want to go through the entire video. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'll leave the link down below in the description along with everything else I got down there. You know, my link tree if you want to follow me on other social media platforms. Will support the channel directly. You know, via Cash App or PayPal. And the Super Thanks feature is also available if you want to do that. And if you choose to donate to this channel, for one, thank you. And my main way of saying thank you for that is shouting you out in my next video. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. With that being said, thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate it. Make sure you be safe out there. If the National Guard is in your city, don't go trying to fuck with these people because you will find out very, 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 very quickly. Have a good one. Peace.